What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Okay, guys, so today we're going to talk about this card, Abyss Dweller. And the reason I felt necessary to devote an entire video to this one card is because I think that this card has the potential to be semi-transformational. And if you've been watching this channel over the past couple of weeks, you know that I have been emphatically trying to beat into the ground the fact that this format has basically broken down into two types of decks. Deck 1, decks that keep pretty much all their monsters in their hand for not wanting to commit much to the field. These decks are heavily graveyard reliant and based. They run very minimal back row, and they're completely focused around getting effects that activate in the graveyard. That's basically their bread and butter. Then deck 2 is, these are decks that might be warrior based, dinosaur based, machine based decks that try and use Xyz synchro plays to try and make the means of their boss monsters. A lot of times these decks are trying to ingratiate cards like Dimensional Fissure, cards like Macrocosmos to combat the earlier decks, and you know what I mean. Seems like these decks are trying to really throw those cards in because they can be auto win against the first decks. Now, one hot card that everybody has been at least testing, and I think everybody was kind of looking at when they first saw the card, and I think it came out of Galactic, is Soul Drain. Pretty sure it came out of, it's either Return of the Duelist or Galactic Overlord. Now, Soul Drain is basically skill drain, but for the banished section, the remove from play, and the graveyard. Any effects that happen or trigger at those times, something when it's sent to the graveyard tries to activate in the graveyard, something that is activating when it's sent to be banished, or that tries to activate, while removed from play, those things can't activate. It has the same exact 1,000 life point cost as Skill Drain, and the card has the ability to just shatter decks apart. Decks like Frog Monarchs or Atlantean Mermails, where basically everything that's important activates in the graveyard, or decks that may heavily rely on their graveyard to resolve key effects. Decks like Chaos Dragons with, things like Light Pulsar Dragon or, Eclipse Wyvern, so on and so forth. Now, the reason why Abyss Dweller is going to be so good is because it's so many reasons, actually. Let's just break them down. First off, it's generic. That means anything from gadgets to Dino Rabbit can make this card. You can basically throw it into any deck that has any space, and it's just like, why not? I might happen to summon it, and it might end up winning me a game. I've summoned this in Heroes, and I've absolutely wrecked ship against a deck like Atlanteans because they couldn't do anything. The second thing you need to know about this card, it's a quick effect. Just like Wind Up Rabbit, you can use this on both turns. This is what really... I saw that one part of the card, and I just thought, wow, you just took it to a whole nother level. I mean, you basically have the ability to lock out decks like Frog Monarchs and lock out Atlanteans at any given time for an entire turn. Meaning, if you don't have something like Darkhold, good luck trying to get this guy off the field. If I have this and maybe a couple of back row like a Bottomless or a Deep Prison, it's not going to happen. And I'm locking your effects out, not to mention, I can use this on my turn as well. So if you happen to have something where I attack it and it's like a goblin zombie and you're thinking you're going to get an effect, nope, that's not going to happen. The third thing, and it might seem random, but it's actually kind of crucial. The fact that it has pretty decent stats in certain situations. I guess you can say situationally decent stats. It's 2,200 if you happen to have a Water Exceed Material monster. Now, there are some ways that you can get that, using cards like Bubble Man or Kabuzaz. Those would probably be the main two that you're going to see. But this card, the whole reason that I think that this card is going to be so impactful is this allows decks like Gadgets and Geargias. I think it is going to be the saving grace. Another deck that I would throw in there is Heroes. It allows them to combat Mermail Atlanteans. It allows them to combat Frog Monarchs and Lancer Frogs without having to have the God Hand, without having to have like the Solemn Warning or the Solemn Judgment, or to have to waste the absolute best of the best cards. You look at decks like Machina Gadgets or Karakuri Geargias, and they don't really have many ways to disrupt like a key Atlantean play. But the fact that this guy is generic means you can drop him turn 2 pretty much in any of those decks that I named. Hell, I was playing it in Heroes, and because of Bubble Man, you can drop this guy turn 1 consistently. So I mean, it's gonna cause horrible problems for Mermail decks, because you're looking at this and you're thinking, could you really go 2 turns without being able to resolve any types of effects? Because I know in my deck I can't. I mean, unless you're playing Heroes, you need your effects to go off, and Mermails don't have an answer to this other than trying to summon the Gello sharp motherfucker guy and run him over. I mean, they really don't have many outs. You know, I know that a lot of Atlantean players are playing Mind Control. You know, they activate Mind Control. Oops, he's a quick effect. Just chain his effect and have fun doing absolutely nothing, considering you can't exceed with it, you can't tribute it, you can't synchro with it, and you can't use effects for the rest of the turn. So basically, you just do nothing. Like, they only really have a couple of outs if this guy's on the field. You know, cards like Dark Hole. Frog Monarchs are pretty much in the same position. I mean, they basically have Creature Swap and Econ, and even when you use Econ, they're locked out of their Treeborn because, you know, chances are, as soon as they try to activate Treeborn, you're just going to chain this on top of that. So Treeborn won't hit the graveyard. They won't be able to activate something like Ronin Totem. The best that they're looking at is if they had another monster like a Caius play or trying to put this guy into defense or something. I look at this card and I think it's really just going to be amazing because it's giving decks that I thought were honestly too slow. Decks like Geargy are moving forward. It's giving them a second life. It's giving them their own, like, quasi-mini Doka, you know what I mean, just against these decks. Now, this card isn't going to be good if you're playing Geargy and you're playing against Dino Rabbit, but if you're playing against Dark World, the fuck are you going to do? I mean, you're going to activate Drag Down, you're going to activate Dark World Dealings, I'm going to chain this, have fun not resolving anything. I mean, Dark World is just another example of a deck that absolutely, completely dies to this one card. I mean, yeah, you can still try to get your Grapha, you know, your Grapha bounce plays, but you got to think about it. If I get this guy before Grapha's in the graveyard, not only am I negating your Grapha, but, you know what I mean, you still run the risk of Grapha just dying to one of those bottomlesses or D-Prisons that you probably would have popped if I hadn't used this effect. So I want to know what you guys think of this card, and I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm seeing that this card is running about $8 to $9. It's not going to be an $8 to $9 card. Believe that. This card is going to be $15, guys. Buy these now. I mean, I've seen them on eBay for like $8. It's not going to be $8. This card's going to be way too amazing, and it's going to definitely have a big impact on this format. Thank you guys for watching, as always.